Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a friend of the Iranian people and the Iranian resistance, America's Mayor, the Honorable Rudie Giuliani.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. It's a great honor. Thank you, General. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Let me acknowledge Madam Rajvi and her fine, as usual, talk and inspirational talk to us, and General Jones. I hope to be able to qualify for that group that you're in. I hope I say enough offensive things now so that they'll put me on that list to kill me. If I'm not already there, we'll try to get there today. Bernard Kouchner, Your Honor, Giulio Terzi, my good friend, the great Attorney General, Judge Michael Mukasey, Professor Parser, and Mr. Sharif, all of whom are speaking today. It's a great honor to speak with you, and also to remind you that there are a whole group of others, as General Jones mentioned, of former civilian, military, government officials, Republican, Democrat, Independent, all different political ideas and thinking, about 100 of us, and we agree on one thing, that Iran is entitled to freedom and democracy, that Iran should be led by leaders like Madam Rajvi and others. And that would be the only assurance of a peaceful Iran. The only assurance of a peaceful Iran is to have a stable, democratic, lawful, decent regime, so that we can say, General, the Iranian government, the Iranian nation, and not these group of outlaws and murderers and people who pretend to be religious people and then have so much blood on their hands, it's almost unthinkable. When the history of this period is written, the two Ayatollahs will go down as two of the worst murderers, mass murderers of the last century and this century, and they deserve to go down as that. I have to begin by welcoming you to New York City. I've been here 9 out of the last 10 years with you when we meet together to focus on the UN General Assembly and the meeting that's going to take place. At times desecrated by the presence of Ahmadinejad, and now by the equally horrible Rouhani, who will be here in a few days after he orders the murder of a few more people, I'm sure. Yet we have to allow him in what I regard as the most beautiful and wonderful city in the world, my city, New York. I wasn't here last year because I had a knee operation. And last year, I am now outraged to find out that among you last year was a terrorist murderer who's now been arrested in California, who was here taking pictures of you to determine who to assassinate in my city, in New York. We've had enough terrorism in New York for several lifetimes. Many of us don't forget. And we understand who our friends are and who our enemies are, and you are our enemy. The sign of a terrorist dictatorial regime crumbling is when they start doing self-defeating things. Now, they commit plenty of murder within Iran. In fact, Rouhani that? Do you realize how irrational that is? Here they are trying to find or hang on to some allies among decent nations. I can't imagine why any decent nation would want to have anything to do with them, but they're trying to hang on to France and Belgium. And they go to France and Belgium with 4 people, including a station chief from Vienna, the Iranian station chief in Vienna, and they have bombs, explosives coming to Paris to try to kill us when we were all there on June 30th. Can you imagine how irrational and crazy that is, to turn off Belgium and France and not to even think about it because you're so pathetically afraid that the MEK is going to overthrow your government? And as I said, they attempted the same thing here in America. Luckily, they were caught in California with a picture of one of our colleagues with guns, with ammunition, and with a plan to assassinate him and others. And then, of course, we know in Albania, they were planning to bomb the New Year's celebration back in March that I attended in Madame Rajvi. I told Ali Reza that maybe I'm bad luck. Nobody back there. So, what can we accomplish now? First of all, we can accomplish telling those people in Iran who are standing up to the threat of violence and murder and destruction that we have their back. We support them. I was very, very proud that President Trump, at the first moment that these protests began, tweeted, and I know his tweets are somewhat controversial, and as his lawyer, I don't want to say anything more about that. But I believe the tweet supporting the protesters in Iran will be historic and may very well be and it may very well be, you know that I've come before these groups many, many times in the last 10 years and said one of the greatest moments in American history, in Western history, was when Ronald Reagan embraced solidarity in Poland. That began the whole series of events that led to the peaceful, non-military overthrow of a despotic regime far greater and far more powerful than Iran. And it was Ronald Reagan's embracing the Polish liberators and patriots and not turning his back on them, as we had done before with communist protesters, as we have done before with Iranian protesters, as you know. I think that support, and then the consistent support within his administration of people like John Bolton and our great Secretary of State and many, many others who understand from having worked with you what you do, I think that is helping to keep this protest movement alive. But all that is support from the outside. Really, the thing that's keeping this alive, and the regime understand it, is you. It's your support, the work you're doing, and the people who have that same courage and that same tenacity and that same desire for freedom, who are your brothers and sisters in Iran, who are the ones who are at the point of the spear. They're the ones who are putting their lives on the line. And it seems to me, the more the regime attacks them, the more the regime tries to kill them and do violence to them, the more the regime imprisons them, the stronger and the more powerful their resistance becomes. You know, very, very often we've had the issue brought up against us that the MEK really is not a very powerful organization. It's a cult. Are we a cult, Ellie Ray? I don't know. I never belonged to a cult. I think it might be fun. They wear like strange things and hats and stuff. But we're not a cult. We're people who are joined by something that is timeless, and that is the love of freedom, the love of democracy, the love of human life, which these people trash daily. Now, we've always known how powerful, I've always known, and my colleagues have, how powerful you are, the powerful influence you have within Iran. And I always would say to others who doubted it, why do they want to kill them so badly? You don't want to kill meaningless little protesters who can't hurt you. But in case there's ever been any doubt about it, I'm just going to read to you something that comes right out of the regime about the MEK just a couple of weeks ago. Now, who meets both of these conditions, both the desire to overthrow and the potential capability to translate this desire into reality? The reality, the overthrow of the regime. It is at this point that everyone would collectively point to the MEK. And this is something that, I won't say all these nice things they say about him, Khomeini has reiterated time and again. Therefore, it's necessary we identify them to raise awareness and to prepare all of us against their real and serious threat. So now tell me that you're not a serious threat. If the regime we're trying to overthrow sees us as a threat, you are a threat. It is a reality. The protests are getting worse. I don't know when we're going to overthrow them. It could be in a few days, months, a couple of years, but it's going to happen. They are going to be overthrown. The people of Iran obviously have now had enough. The sanctions are working. The currency is going to nothing. They're where Russia was. They're where Poland was. We see signs of young men and women saying, give me some food. We saw a sign of a man trying to sell his internal organs for $500 American, probably a fortune in Iran today. This is truly pitiful. These are the kinds of conditions that lead to successful revolution, and God willing, nonviolent revolution. And I'll conclude by reminding everyone that when we have these revolutions and these overthrows, a constant realistic fear is what's going to replace the regime. And sometimes it has been catastrophic consequences, and sometimes it's worked out well. Here we have no doubt. Under the leadership of Madame Rajvi, under the leadership of all of you, of the leadership of the coalition she's established, not just MEK, but a vast coalition, 100,000 people in Paris. Doctors, lawyers, scientists, engineers, and hardworking people. Some wealthy, some middle class, some poor, but hardworking people who can stand up a government. This isn't Iraq after the Iraq invasion. This is a diaspora of Iranians who are ready willing and able to come, to help, to sacrifice their lives, their fortune, their wealth, and make Iran free. So, I know that my good friend John McCain tragically died before he could see the dream that he talked about when he went to Albania a short time before I did. One of my last conversations with him, if not the last conversation, was his prediction that I would be lucky enough to be in a free Tehran. And John McCain is right. I will be with you in a free Iran much sooner than they think. Thank you.